All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. We have a crazy 5-game slate on deck. Have my guy Madness here. Madness, how you doing, man? Good to have you back.
We're doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Last night was really good. We had a really good slate. Leverage plays. I was gonna say all smashed. I don't remember if they all did, but the important ones did. It was a roller coaster of emotions because Jalen Johnson going down, I was already like halfway through screw this slate. And then I saw KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., get up limping. I just legit turned my TV off, walked out the door, and was like, I'm just going to the gym. Screw this shit. But you were still watching, obviously, and he came back and he crushed, which was awesome. He was a leverage play last night, so I was heavy on him.
He was
But
awesome.
yeah, it was good. Was it a good night for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat where like Jalen Johnson went down, KPJ went down. I am not happy with the Washington Wizards.
Yep.
Alondas Williams seeing 9 minutes, I think it was, and it was in a 40-point game, like playing nearly 30 minutes per game over his last three, and they just decided, we're not going to play him until it got truly out of hand.
Until literally only he could play at that point.
Right.
It's
And
weird.
then
The
Chris
DS,
Middleton was chalk. He went down.
the DS was super high on him at first, and then like as we got closer to lock, he fell. I did still like him, so I put like a 10 or 20% min on him. But yeah, that part did suck. But for the most part, it was good. Let's get to tonight's slate. A nice 5-gamer. Hopefully, we can keep this heater going. But it's a slate. I'll say that we have a lot of good defensive teams, but a lot of news that keeps it interesting. First game has the highest total, good spread, 231 total, 6.5-point spread. Two defensive teams, which makes it a bit tougher. The Spurs are not really missing anybody, so at least for me, that lowered my interest somewhat. But how are you kind of looking at this team?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. The main guy from the Spurs I'm going to get to is Wembanyama. I mean, he has slate breaking upside anytime he's out there. He's got 80-point DraftKings point upside. So I'm going to like him, and this front court doesn't scare me. He's not going to project well from a point per dollar perspective, but at 10-9 on a shorter slate without a ton of spend up options, I just like getting to Wemby here. The two I'm kind of deciding between is Fox and Stephon Castle. I almost lean going Castle in the Fox price tag range. He's just been more consistent this season. Fox has been very volatile. I'm kind of split there because I do want exposure to one of them, if not both of them. It won't be anything crazy. Fox is getting more exposure right now. I'm kind of tempted just to flip that and go to Castle, but it's really those main three. And I think Fox is going to be my least favorite of those three.
Yeah, Fox's ceiling just has been disappointing me a bit lately, but the way I'm kind of viewing it is similarly to you. Is like Wemby is someone I have to have exposure to. Last game, he played 35 minutes, which is something we haven't seen him do in a while. If that's something that he's going to do moving forward, he's low-key too cheap for that.
Yeah.
The problem is that's not a guarantee, and this is a on paper tough matchup, but kind of like you, there's no one on the other side of this court that worries me when it comes to Wemby. So I understand why his ownership isn't too crazy, but I have a 25% min on him. I just want to be slightly over the field there. And then, like you, I was between Castle and Fox. And even still, I'm low-key kind of like maybe screw both of them and just make sure I have more exposure to other guards, maybe in that Cavs game if Harden ends up getting ruled out. As of right now, I have a 10% min on Castle. It's more of a sim model play. The sim likes him a decent amount, so we'll kind of follow that. But I think we can probably get away from not having too much exposure to this team as a whole. And De'Aaron Fox, he is showing up naturally in about 9% of lineups, which is fine. I'm okay with him showing up a little bit here. All right, other side of this game, I thought we could have some guys to talk about because Scotty Barnes was questionable. But then he was ruled in, which at least for me made me not interested at all. Do you have any interest here?
The one guy I do like, and it's very scary, is Jakob Pertl. That price tag is just extremely interesting at 4,400. He saw 26 minutes last time out, and they're gonna need his size against Wemby. So that's the one piece of the Raptors that I'm really in between on, and I kind of want to go overweight on Pertl. Other than that, it's really nothing for me with Barnes playing.
Yeah, it's interesting with Jakob Poeltl. He sees a boost in minutes usually when he's going up against a pretty decent guard. Other games we've seen him play as low as like 16 to 20 minutes or really good bigs. So like against Turner on the 22nd, they used his size. We've seen them do that against Bam, guys like Cat. But when he faces like the Nets or Chicago, that's when he's usually playing less minutes. So I don't think that's a crazy call. Like it wouldn't shock me if he sees those minutes again. So yeah, if you're gonna go somewhere here, Jakob Poeltl can make sense. I am not taking a shot here, but I understand the Pirtle play. Brandon asked, why not Dylan Harper instead of Castle or Fox?
I think it's just the minutes and his price tag has come up. His minutes are all over the place. Like
Yeah.
he was looking really solid for like 4 games, playing around 27 minutes. And then last time out, they dropped all the way down to 18. So there's no really predicting what he's going to see. If I had to guess, he's going to be around 22 to 23 minutes. And at 4,700, I just think we can do better.
Yeah, the Spurs minutes with their guards is going to be a pain in our ass for the rest of the season until someone goes down. So I really do think it's probably fine avoiding most of them. But if you have a favorite, Fox, Castle, even if it's Harper, I don't think it's crazy to get a little bit of exposure there because they're basically unowned. Next game, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the Detroit Pistons. The Thunder have so many guys out that this game is not interesting from a even watching TV perspective, but they will be relevant from a DFS perspective. The reason why is Chet Holmgren is doubtful. He's not going to play tonight. So that's a boost to guys like Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Jalen Williams. They'll see a lot of those minutes there. And then Isaiah Hartenstein is also out. And so that solidifies Jalen with a wise role here a bit more. And then Alex Caruso is doubtful. He won't play tonight. And so that really solidifies minutes for Isaiah Joe, who popped off last night. And some of the other guards too, like McCain, and it wouldn't shock me if Wiggins once again sees a few more minutes too with Caruso out. So it's an interesting spot for these Thunder players, but you know me, I hate these guys. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, it's probably going to be hard to get away from them with especially the Williamses, I'll call them. Jalen and Kenrich, I would expect they both start with the guys that they're missing. Mm-hmm. The issue is the matchup kind of sucks. I don't like targeting guys against Detroit. Oh. But 4,800 and 4,300, you're probably going to land on a lot of them. And I think I'm fine just eating that chalk. I don't need to go too overweight. I don't need to go too underweight. So I'm fine with those guys. Isaiah Joe has been really good over the past week, 2 weeks. Probably not a guy I'm going to get to again because of the matchup, and his price tag is up. And I think the same can kind of go for Aaron Wiggins. So it's really just going to be Jalen and Kenrich Williams for me from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe, long story short, I didn't do anything in the domination station to this team, but I will have plenty of exposure to the Thunder. Starting off, Jalen Williams, he's showing up in about 60% of lineups. He was showing up in like 70, 80. I capped him at 60% because of the matchup. I'm willing to be over the field, but I don't want him in too many of my lineups. I think there's just guys who are in softer spots. Then we have Kenrich Williams. He's showing up in about 41% of lineups, so slightly over the field there. And Isaiah Joe, I almost put a min on him to get him to show up a bit more, but he does take one of those viable guard spots, and we'll get there. I do think it's a risk because if James Harden plays, then the situation's fine, but I like having the ability to late swap to more of these Cavs guards because the Schroeder's going to look fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, he's just the best $4,500 guard play on the slate if James Harden gets ruled out. And Isaiah Joe popped off last night, and I'm always just less likely to try and force exposure to the guy who went off recently. That's my own internal bias, but he makes sense. He's been really good. I understand the play, just not one I'm going to force today, and he's not showing up naturally, so he's only in about 1% of lineups. So, yeah, like these guys a bit less than I thought I would, but the key guys are, like you said, Jalen Williams and Kenrich Williams, the Williams brothers. All right, next up, we have the Pistons side of this game, and I like them a bit less than I thought I would, too. For Detroit, only Isaiah Stewart is still out with that suspension, and so we know not too much changes with that. Just solidifies guys like Holland and Reed's minutes some. Tough matchup still. Thunder, they're missing everybody, but they've still been playing decent defense. Are you forcing in like Cade or Jalen Duren?
I think you can make a case for Jalen Duren. He's going to get a matchup boost without Chet, without Hartenstein in. And he's looked great over his last couple of games, at least 48 points, DraftKings points in back-to-back games. So I think you can get to Duren. The price tag, there's still some meat on the bone there. He is very volatile, at least over the last month or so. So there is some risk there, but I think he looks solid. Cade, I think I'd rather just go to Wemby, to be honest, at that price range. He's been awesome. He came down to earth a little bit last time out. I'm not going to talk you off of Cade. I'll put it that way. If you want to play Cade, do it. If he lands in your lineup, I'm fine with that. But it's really just going to be Duren, and I'll get sprinkles of Cade. Nothing too crazy. And I think the same goes for Duren. I do like the matchup, though. So Cade and Duren. I am getting a little bit of Dennis Jenkins, which I don't really like. So I'll probably come down on that. I mean, 3,500, no more Jaden Ivey, but the minutes the production in minutes, it hasn't been great. So I'll probably come off of Jenkins. He does have a ceiling. So if the minutes are there and this game blows out, maybe.
Yeah,
but
we've seen him pop off before, so it wouldn't be the first time. Where I'm at, I think that was a really good call out for you. The injuries from the OKC side definitely kind of pushes me over the hump to actually play Duren. He was someone that I was like, oh, this is an interesting price tag. I like playing him even in tough matchups. I wish his ownership was a little bit lower, and so that's why I didn't have a min on him. But I think you're right. There's enough upside here with some of the injuries on the other side of this the game that is worth forcing some exposure to Duren. So 15% min there. And that's it. I'm seeing it the same situation or the same way as you with Cade. I can't really get to Wim. I like Wemby so much. I don't feel like Cade's worth it for me at this price tag. And even when I'm not playing Wemby, I still like having a little bit more of a balanced build versus trying to fit Cade in a not great matchup. He can get there. It's just not my favorite pay up option on this slate. All right. I've been trying to procrastinate this game a little bit because between OKC and Golden State Warriors, man, and they're injured and it's still just as annoying. They came through for us yesterday, so I guess I'll give them the benefit of a doubt. Like we did have to force some Santos in and he worked, but the rest of this team, man, I never like seeing. It got a little bit more complicated because Draymond Green was ruled out right before the show started. And so that Al Horford was already popping in a lot of our lineups, but he's in the vast majority of them now. D'Anthony Melton's out, so that stabilizes things for pods, and Will Richard, his minutes some too. And then, of course, Gary Payton II, he's going to show up some too. And then Porzingis still isn't joining this team, and Curry and Butler have been out for a while now, so that's not new. Matchup against Memphis is fine. Not a team to worry about from a defensive standpoint. Who are you prioritizing from this team?
Yeah, I think you're naturally going to get a bunch of Warriors. They have 9 available bodies, and this Leon's guys, dude, I don't even know that we count
really.
So we'll call it 8.5.
Yeah.
I think you have to play them. I mean, they're in a matchup that I don't think it blows out. The Grizzlies aren't good themselves, so they're going to see a bunch of minutes. Guys like, so I'm thinking. I think Podziemski gets back in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Along with Spencer, Santos, and Horford probably starts at the 5. Yeah, these guys look great. So Podziemski, Horford, Santos, Moody, and I'm missing somebody. Spencer, yep. So those guys are all going to look great. I think you're going to land on them naturally. I do have Podziemski as a core right now. I think he's my only core from the Warriors. Yeah, he is. So, I mean, that can change. We're hour and 15 minutes out from lock, but with how shorthanded they are, the matchup is great. They're going to look good. And they were good last night, which makes me very nervous for tonight that we're just going to get screwed, but they're going to be popular. So you're not going to be the only one.
True that. It feels like one of those, like, what could possibly go wrong? We have the Golden State Warriors chalk. We have the OKC chalk. Yeah, been down this road before, but got to see it through, my boy. Got to see it through. Where I'm at is Podziemski. He's going to show up in pretty much every lineup for me tonight, close to a core play. Last night we had to force Santos in. Today he shows up by himself naturally, and you see that he's in 78% of lineups. That Draymond news really just made Santos a much safer play. Moses Moody, let's see, where does he's in about 47% of lineups, will be over the field there. Al Horford, you can see he's showing up in about 53% of lineups, significantly over the field there. Pat Spencer is not showing up by himself. So he might be the one Warrior, maybe Gary Payton Jr. I might try to force in here a little bit. Do I love Pat Spencer? No, but with the Warriors, I feel like if I just spread my exposure out to as many of them as possible, there's no way I can be surprised by a random guy going off. So Pat Spencer, 20% min, it is. And then for Gary Payton, I'm fine with what I have. I'm not going to force him in. 12% is enough. Is there anyone else you want to highlight here, or you feel like we covered it pretty well?
I think I actually just talked myself into going a little bit overweight on Quentin Post.
Okay.
4K off the bench, and I'm not convinced they want to run Horford into the ground with his elderly age. So
that's a good point.
I think he actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna boost his projection a little bit. He can pay off a 4K price tag real quick.
Man, sometimes doing the show with you and like B-Dubs and TK and them, like it really reminds me just how easily convinced I am of things. Because like as soon as you said, I was like, damn, man, that makes sense. Why would I not do that? Like Al Horford is old as dirt. They will play him tonight because they have to. But realistically, they're going to try and get almost anyone else on the floor when they don't play him. So I think that post call is good, really good. I don't know. Right now he shows up naturally in about 13% of lineups. And so I do like that call being over. So I'm going to increase him to 25%. And then Gary Payton, I'll do 35% of too. I just feel like he's a little bit too cheap for me not to be over the field on. Post. I'm actually gonna do 30 on post now, and then Moody, was he showing up a lot? He's the one I don't care as much about. So yeah, it's an interesting spot for the Warriors. I feel like it's an important team to talk about on this slate because they will be a maker or breaker tonight for you. So make sure you have a good grip on what's going on there. For Memphis, they are injured per usual. Santi Aldama is still out, so that's a boost to guys like GG, Prosper, Hendricks. Cedric Howard is still out, so you'll see a little bit more Pippen and Wells and Cam Spencer. But a lot of that, these guys have been banged up all year, and so it's already kind of built into their price tag. Matchup against the Warriors is never my favorite thing to see. I'm not getting a lot of these guys, are you?
No, I think it's just Ty Jerome, and it won't be in a big way, but I do think there is leverage there. He's not going to play a ton of minutes, think low 20s, but he is so efficient in those minutes. At least 35 DraftKings points in 4 of his last 5. He hasn't seen more than 22 minutes in any of those games. So he's incredibly efficient. So I don't mind going a little bit overweight on him. Like I said, I don't want to go crazy because of that price tag. But if you are playing a bunch of Warriors, maybe bring it back with Ty Jerome. That's really the only Grizzly I'm getting to. Like you said, the price tags have kind of caught up with their shenanigans over the last 2 months.
Thankfully, because Memphis was getting annoying. A little low-key. It's just a new random Memphis guy who's going to see 20-plus minutes who's 3K. But here, like you said, is really just Ty Jerome for me. He's super risky because he does not play a lot of minutes. Haven't seen him play more than like 22. We have him projected for 22 minutes. But his points per minute usage is so high. It's comparable. This sounds crazy, but it's true. It's almost comparable to what Victor Wembanyama does with his production while he's out there. He just plays more minutes, and so that price tag makes it pay off. So for a guard to do that, that's just someone I want to have exposure to when they don't have a lot of other guys so that they trust to score or do anything offensively. So I have a 25% min on Ty Jerome. He'll be a leverage play. Caveat, though, pretty big caveat here, is that this game starts Oh no, lock isn't until 7:30 tonight, so never mind. We have plenty of time. I kind of forgot about that. Did you? Did you remember it was a 7:30 lock?
I just checked my phone to confirm. I'm like, all right, we got some extra minutes to play
I know.
with.
I've been kind of like rushing everything, even like just throughout today to make sure everything's good. But I was like, okay, it can slow down a little
I'll
bit.
take it.
Yeah, never mad about that. All right, next game we have the Kings going up against the Rockets. 221.5 total, 13.5 point spread. Low total, huge spread. Never my favorite combination, but it usually means someone has a really soft matchup, and that's the case for the Rockets tonight. For the Kings, they do have some injuries, but nothing that really matters. Like we've known Sabonis is out, Levine's out. Devin Carter is questionable, a guard for him, but he doesn't play too much where I think will move the needle around. But they're playing a really good defense, and hard for me to prioritize too many people here. Are you?
Yeah, it's similar to the Raptors where there's not a ton I like. Precious Achua, if you want to go there, at least 40 DraftKings points and 2 of his last 3. Matchup sucks though.
So bad.
If you want to get wacky, I kind of think the league scared the living shit out of the Kings with their tampering, or not tampering, but tanking rules.
Yeah.
Not rules, but you know, they're putting it out there that it's something they're watching. And we immediately saw Russell Westbrook play 33 minutes. If Devin Carter's out again, revenge game against Houston, against Kevin Durant. I've played crazy narratives, so that's the only real case I can make for the Kings. It's not a good one.
I don't think that's wild. I don't think that's wild. Only because we've seen it literally in the last game. It's risky as all hell because he's not super cheap, but there's some upside there. Let's see. For me, I have a 10% minimum Precious Achua. He will be a leverage play for me tonight. Like a lot of these guys on this slate where there's just not a ton of average matchups that are going completely overlooked. It's one where Precious Achua has been so good when he sees more than 25 minutes. That's when we've seen like those 40, 50 point upside performances that I'm willing to bet on it. He's done it in some relatively difficult matchups like Orlando, but he's just someone I want to take a shot on. So 10% min there and just calling it a day. It's very likely like his minutes floor can be around 16 minutes. And so that's where the risk comes in. All right, next up we have the Houston Rockets going up against the Kings. For Houston tonight, Amen Thompson is out, which is why you might be seeing a lot of Reed Shepherd in your lineups. He's the one who his minutes floor becomes safer and he sees a usage increase. And then outside of that, this team's pretty healthy, but they have a great matchup going up against the Kings. Who do you like here?
I don't like having as much Reed Shepherd as I do, but it makes sense.
Right.
He's currently a core play. It's not I don't feel good about it by any means. The matchup is great, like you mentioned. He's not gonna be sneaky. So I'm thinking I just eat the chalk with him. That said, I did just drop a note in the Discord.
Okay.
I'm gonna be adding Dennis Schroeder to my core, and we'll touch on that very shortly. So maybe that comes down a little bit. They're very similar price tags at a similar position. So maybe we'll see. Reed Shepherd's gonna look good from a projection standpoint at the very least. Tari Eason is the other piece. Again, no Amen Thompson. The price tag is a little bit higher. We know he can put up fantasy points in a hurry. So I have no issue with Eason. Şengün and Durant is probably where I draw the line. I don't see how this game stays close. Now, maybe the Kings, they kind of go back to their last game and actually play their decent NBA players and keep something relatively close, but they're not a good team to begin with. So I don't think I'm going to Şengün. I don't think I'm going to Durant. They are drawing ownership, which is interesting to say the least. The matchup is great, so they're going to dominate when they're out there, but it's mostly Reed Shepherd, and then I'll have a sprinkle at Tari Eason too.
I don't know. So much of this slate kind of just feels like I've seen it before, It just feels like we're rinsing, watching, repeating. And Reed Shepherd, we have seen this movie before where they don't really have a ton of ball handlers. Sometimes they give him more opportunities. Sometimes they just try to get creative and give Şengün the ball more, or Eason or Smith. You never really know. But assuming they do what's the most logical thing, Reed Shepherd should smash here. And so He is showing up alongside Podziemski in 96% of my lineups. I want to cap him. And a cap for us usually means putting an exposure max on him. And I think I will. I keep talking about how much I like the guard spot on this slate. And I don't want, like, I'll be pissed off tonight if at the end of it, everything else is great and it's only Reed Shepherd ruining lineups. I'm going to put a 70% exposure max on him. I also have leverage over the field because it's a play that makes sense, but at least also have about 30% of my lineups live and strong if he isn't utilized the way he should be tonight. Nice way of playing it safe there about getting too crazy. And then other Rockets, Şengün showing up for me in about 35% of lineups, so I'll be slightly over the field there. Also kind of fits that narrative if they want to give him more ball handling duties. Kevin Durant won't be a priority for me. I think that ownership is insane. But who knows? He could pop off in a soft matchup. Just not someone I'm going to prioritize. And then Terry's fine, but he's not showing up for me. Oh, he is. He's showing up in about 13% of lineups. So that's nice. I only have about 5% KD. So I didn't X him out or anything. I didn't go that bonkers. All right. Next up, we have the Cavs going up against Milwaukee. Your game of the night, Madness. The rest of us, we're just here so we can try to make money. For the Cavs, we have Evan Mobley out, Donovan Mitchell out, and then James Harden. I have him listed as questionable, but I've seen him have some different status tags across the industry. Schroeder will start more than likely if Harden gets ruled out. Donovan Mitchell, we've seen him get ruled out before. We kind of know what happens there. Same thing with Evan Mobley. How are you treating this Cavs team right now? I know you mentioned Schroeder potentially being a core play, right?
I think I'm going to just go into lock, assuming James Harden is out. And I don't have any facts or anything behind it that suggests he will be. But the fact that they already ruled out Donovan Mitchell, they already ruled out Evan Mobley. He has this fracture going on that he's not sure. I mean, he says he's going to play through it. He's not going to get surgery. I just don't think it's the time for him to play. And if he does play and we have Dennis Schroeder, he can still get there. I mean, we haven't projected as if Harden is in and he's projecting well in the first place. No Mitchell. Yeah. So I'm fine sticking with him. And if not, we have other games in this time slot too that we can pivot to. So I do have quite a bit of Dennis Schroeder now that I kind of bumped up his projection quite a bit. And the same goes for Jalen Tyson. I'm going to have a bunch of him too. We've seen Tyson kind of take over a game, even with Mitchell in there. I think Mobley's probably the bigger presence to be out for Tyson, but yeah, both of these guys look good. The Bucks aren't playing a whole lot of defense, and they're still managing to win games. Watch out for the Milwaukee Bucks, by the way. So it's going to be Jalen Tyson and Dennis Schroeder for me.
When does Giannis come back?
He's playing 5-on-5 in practice. I don't know.
Oh,
they're not trying to rush him because they did, and then he re-injured himself. So tread water while Giannis is out, and we'll be.
Hey, I hear you. Where I'm at, it's weird. I don't love playing bigs against Milwaukee just because Miles Turner's a good defender. He's been defending the paint well all year long. So I went back and forth on Jared Allen. I thought it might be a fade spot, but ultimately I decided to just kind of match the field on him. I have a 30% min there because he wasn't showing up enough for the upside he has, even though it is a bit of a difficult spot. Sam Merrill will be a leverage play for me. I have a 15% min on him. Just someone that can get hot. Someone who goes overlooked on most slates when all these guys are out, and then you just start watching him drain threes. And I've been on the outside looking in enough times to know I'm not going to be on the outside looking in this time. So he's just someone I want to have exposure to because he will see an increase in usage with Donovan Mitchell out and Evan Mobley out. I won't play James Harden no matter what. I'm so close to kind of just joining you and just locking Schroeder in and saying screw it because I really do think he's the best play on the slate if Harden gets ruled out. But I'm just going to be patient and wait for that news and go from there. But I wonder what things look like if I do lock it.
If I just do this.
Like it can't hurt to wait and look and see. I could probably play everybody I want to and not have to worry about my men's as much. Might even
just window shopping,
Yeah, might even be able to increase a little bit of Cade exposure just to balance things out. But outside of that, no one else from the Cavs. Tyson, Shows up in 35% of lineups. So I'm over the field on him. But I will put him in there to do 40 just to kind of force that in a bit more. Merle's a leverage play. I am going to uncheck James Harden because it doesn't really make sense for me to have him in there if I'm going to lock Dennis Schroeder. And I am going to do that.
There we go.
If Harden plays, I'll late swap and try to figure it out. But that's a problem for another day. I think there's some really good leverage there if Harden gets ruled out. And there's so many good guards and some not good guards, but there's viable guards on this slate in these early first games with the Warriors, Spurs, even OKC, and Pistons with Cade that I just think having one spot locked, who I think would be the best play on the slate if Harden gets ruled out, just makes a lot of sense. That was a good call, man. All right. Next up, we have your team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is out, but everyone else is healthy. Cavs are missing most of their team, so the matchup's not tough. They should still play at a pretty fast pace. Who are you liking here?
I'm just going to keep going back to the well with Kevin Porter Jr. As long as Giannis is out, this dude is doing everything for this team.
Again, this is like deja vu from earlier this season. We did the exact same thing.
It's unreal. I mean, his price tag is up, but he's averaging 49 DraftKings points per game over his last 3. He's a usage monster. He gets assists. He gets rebounds. The breakaway steals he gets is unreal. They're normally breakaway steals that leads to a dunk. So you're looking at 5 points right there.
Mm-hmm.
I just love him. And without Mobley, without Mitchell, they lose some defensive capabilities there. Send me back to Kevin Porter Jr. Island. He's going to play around 40 minutes, assuming this one stays close. So I like him quite a bit. Ryan Rollins is playable for me. He's going to see a similar minutes, upside 35, 40 minutes. He kind of needs to shoot well to get there. We saw he's going to be consistent, but he's priced for that consistency. So I don't know that if he hits his median outcome, you're going to get there. But if he does what he does against the Pelicans 3 games ago, where he shot 15 times, hit 10 of those, and 7 of them were 3, and he dropped a 50 burger, he's going to get there. So there's just so many guards that I want to get to on this slate that I don't think Rollins is going to be one of them. And then the rest of this team, they're playing so deep right now. I mean, even Miles Turner. Yeah. Doc Rivers has opted for more rebounding and gone to the Jericho Sims route to close games. Their $150 million man is sitting on the bench to close games. I'm not salty at all.
I was like, who hurt you? Are you mad, man?
So I can't go there. It's really just going to be KPJ and Rollins from the Bucks for me.
Yeah, I'm seeing it the same way. I thought about Miles Turner, and I was like, oh, this should be a smash spot. No Mobley. Allen doesn't really concern me too much defensively. And then I looked at his minutes recently, and I was like, what in the hell has been going on here? And I still don't really know. Like, it makes sense what you're saying. Like, Sims, they've been prioritizing rebounding, so that makes it make a little bit more sense. But like you said, the money is with Turner. You play the guy you spent the money on. But hey, maybe teams don't care about that anymore. KPJ was a leverage play last night. He'll be a leverage play once again today. I came into this slate thinking I was going to fade KPJ because I just like to do that with guys on the back end of a back-to-back. If I hit yesterday, I fade him the next day. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I was planning on fading him because I thought he might be 50, 60% owned because of what he did last night. And then I saw that he's going to fall somewhere between 15 to 21%. Like, come on. Like, 40% men will not kill me. I can't lock him because I am just concerned enough about him playing 36 minutes last night, but I don't think they have very many other options. If you do think like KPJ won't play as much, then I don't hate a shot on a guy like Cam Thomas playing a bit more tonight on the back end of a back-to-back, but I'm not getting cute enough to do that. I do like being over the field on Ryan Rollins. Like, I think you're right. His ceiling really hasn't been there recently, especially with the come up of KPJ, but I still like having some exposure to the other guard. And again, if we late swap, well, I won't have to late swap if Harden gets rolled out anymore. But it's still nice to have some of that exposure if you do need to late swap to this last game. That was actually my main reason for playing Ryan Rollins. So I'm just going to put a 10% min on him now. because I'm not late swapping anymore. So that's pretty much. Well, I will late swap if KPJ or if Harden plays. So that's something to watch out for. Anything else you want to kind of highlight before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. Let me take a look at my exposures real quick. I don't think anything has really changed. Kyle Anderson out. Don't really care about that. No, I think we're looking good.
I think the only other thing I'll look at is potentially just trying to get a little bit of Cade.
That's a good call.
Now that I have the value of Schroeder, I would like to just be able to balance things out. Okay, Cade shows up in about 5% of lineups. I'll put a like 10% min on him, just so he shows up a little bit more if he does pop off randomly tonight. And then I'll be over on Şengün and Wemby. And then a lot of these lineups are going to be relatively balanced too, which is a very appropriate way to treat this slate with some of the high upside 8K guys we have and some of the value, and then Podziemski and crew in like that 6K range too. So we're in for a good one, boys. We'll be back tomorrow. I think I'll be with B-Dub then, and then we'll see about Friday. But I wish you all luck tonight. Feel free to reach out in the Discord if you have any more questions, but peace out.